Good evening and a very warm welcome from BlockchainLab Drenthe. This evening we have a number of interesting topics, but let me first introduce myself. My name is Adrie Wisman and I will be your host. I'm co-founder of BlockchainLab Drenthe and chairman of the foundation. For people who don't know us, let me introduce the Blockchain Lab first. Let me give a presentation. I'll press some buttons. And I'll mute some computers here, like this. Okay. BlockchainLab Drenthe Foundation is a non-profit with the goal to spread knowledge, experience, insights about distributed ledger technology and blockchain. We do that by organizing meetups like this for entrepreneurs, students, schools, governmental bodies, all kinds of people. And we do that by developing blockchain applications ourselves. We're doing feasibility studies and lots of other things to keep our own knowledge at par. We are heavily invested in Interreg Project Bling, and Interreg Project Bling stands for Blockchain in Government. This is a European project with 14 partners from 6 North Sea region countries, and they all work on pilots where blockchain technology is used for public services. And it includes partners like University of Oldenburg, University of Edinburgh, Ho West University, but also University of Gothenburg, the city of Groningen, the province of Drenthe, of course, the municipality of Emmen, and lots of other partners. They all have their own projects in the blockchain space. Let me click on my presentation. Now, you can see me, but I cannot see you, of course. This is YouTube. But we love to hear from you. And for that, we use the chat from YouTube. So please, if you have any questions, remarks, maybe you would like to introduce yourself, then please log in, because YouTube doesn't allow any people to be anonymous and post whatever they want. So please log in with your Gmail or whatever and talk to us. If you have any questions, I will try to answer them. We have certain parts of this live stream where we have room for questions and remarks. Now, like I said, it's an interesting evening. We have, as always, 3 segments. The first segment is what I will be doing, what's going on in the blockchain space, with some news, talk about scams, price action, etc. And the second segment will be done by Pieter Bonnema. He will be talking about the IOTA-based energy knip, where he used IOTA to distribute 5 million euros to 20,000 families who are in need because they have financial troubles because of the high energy prices. And our third segment is done by Jeroen Wester, and he will talk about AI for smart contracts. We all saw what happened in the last month or two, where ChatGPT took the world by storm and everybody was talking about it. And you can use ChatGPT for programming also. So people do that. Should you do that? Is this a new opportunity which everybody should grab? Or is it a risk? And Jeroen has looked at it and will share with us what he found. Here you see the 3 people. Our next meetup will be on February 23rd. And we hope to see you again. And of course, we also have 3 segments there. Other speakers, probably someone, not just someone, probably the president of the Dutch Blockchain Coalition. We'll do an interview with him and some other nice stuff. Okay, without further ado, let's go to the first segment. And I have to press a few buttons to do that. So to start that off, I'll do this. Okay. The first segment, what's going on in the blockchain space, is always about price action to start with. So these are the prices of today. You see Bitcoin just over $23,000, and that's the reason why all these Bitcoin people are smiling from ear to ear, right? 23,000 is a very nice price when you look at what's been going on the last months. I'll give you a chart in a moment. In this column, you can see that last 7 days prices went up 10% in Bitcoin, only 4% in Ethereum, but the market has been good. And here you see Polygon has gone up 15% in the last week. Like I said, most of the people are smiling from ear to ear. Now, the price on January 1st in Bitcoin was 16,650, right? And Ethereum was 1,200. So you can imagine people smiling because they made a profit of 37.5%. Yeah, 37.7 if you would look at the price at the moment. So I hear you thinking, well, they should, because most people who got into the market said, let's say the last 2 years have been losing a lot of money, and even more than 40%. So they need this. But people who are looking at the crypto market see this as a very positive sign, and they are thinking about returning to the market. Maybe winter is over. Here you see that price action from the 1st of January in Bitcoin. Well, it's something out of a picture book, right? 4 weeks, nearly 40%. Here you see the comparison between the Bitcoin and the Ethereum coin. So Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin the whole month. But in the last week, Bitcoin got stronger, or no, let's put it in other words, Ethereum got weaker than Bitcoin. So they crossed, but lots of people are positive on both. I know we have a lot of IOTA followers in our stream this evening because of Energy Knip. So I thought I put up IOTA price also. And like Bitcoin, which went up 37, I think they have to be very, very content also, because IOTA went up 35% since January 1st. There's a lot of nice things going on and a lot of nice things coming for IOTA, and I think a lot of people are positive about that. Let's stay at the positive side for IOTA. I'll give you a sneak preview. This is inside information. This is a new blog, an IOTA blog, which will be coming out in the next few days about Energy Knip. There has already been a very nice article by IOTA about Energy Knip last year, but this is a new, longer version with newer information. And we hope you will like it. In the next few days you will be able to read it, and it will be spread around the world. It's a long read about how Energy Knip is doing and what we're going to do in the future. Talking about the future, this is happening. CBDCs, the digital euro. And the digital euro is getting a lot of attention this week. There have been some official announcements. Of course, everybody knows that the digital euro is somewhat discussed, right? About privacy issues. People think that the digital euro is being used only to spy on them. There have been a lot of discussion, even in the Dutch government, to talk about how programmable it should be, how neutral a digital euro should be. I mean, if you have cash Cash is neutral. You can take it anywhere. There are no rules. You can pay anywhere with your 50 euro bill. But a digital euro, that could be something quite different. Well, people are afraid of that. So now even governments are putting up laws to keep that in mind, to keep the digital euro as neutral and as unprogrammable as possible. Well, that's an opinion, right? That your salary should have no restrictions on where you can spend it. And we from BlockchainLab Drenthe fully agree. I mean, we know what you can do with programmable money. Energy Knip is programmable money. But programmable money has its own strengths and its own issues and its own use cases where it's much preferable over a neutral money. But it's discussing, and of course the whole world is looking at CBDCs, right? China with its digital yuan, Japan, India, everyone, digital dollars, stable coins are very important. There is one country which is a little bit opposed here in Europe. Europe, they don't belong to Europe anymore. United Kingdom, officially they have still a lot of hesitation to step into a digital British pound. Well, I have news for you, because this occurred this week on LinkedIn and on the government website. You can see what happened. They are looking for a head of central bank digital currency. So if you are dying to get into cryptos, this is your chance, right? See what kind of money you can earn by being the head of the central bank digital currency of the United Kingdom. The Britons need a digital pound too. So officially they're still not amused, but they are looking for a head of central bank digital currency. This is some other news about Ethereum. We all know in September Ethereum switched from proof of work to proof of stake. Now, proof of stake works in a completely different way. You have to put up money, stake money, to be able to approve a block. Now, this update of the Ethereum chain in September had no way for the people who stake their money to retrieve it. They put in 14.5 million ethers, which is $23 billion. It's quite some money. But the current state of the Ethereum chain has no way to take it out, right? And the next update, the Shanghai update, will provide that. So stakers will be able to take some of their staked money out. It will probably happen in March, and they started testing this week with a shadow fork of the Ethereum chain to see if that all works. So lots of things going on Ethereum, but well, people were a little bit complaining that it took too long for these people who put in $23 billion and wanted to take some money out. Taking money out is also the topic of this sheet. Digital euro, we had that, and government looking at crypto. One of the things that has a lot of rules in Europe are Bitcoin ATMs, right? The government of all European countries demand people buying crypto to identify themselves. That's because of anti-money laundering. And so ATMs are frowned upon, to say the least. Not in these countries. Australia installed another 20 or 25 ATMs, and they outrank Spain now. They're on the third place. As you can see, America has the most Bitcoin ATMs. You can go there, put your cash money in, and receive Bitcoins on your address. And the European authorities don't like that. They want to control. They want to see, because of anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. They want to be able to look at it. And here in Holland, the rules are getting even sharper. There are discussions to look at every transaction over 100 euros in euros, not in cryptos, in euros. So ATMs, we only have a few left in the Netherlands. But in Australia, Canada and US, they're there for the stay. Here we have Visa. You all know Visa card. And we saw Visa investing in NFTs 2 years ago. But they are very hesitant. And now they came with an official statement that stablecoins and CBDCs might play a more or less meaningful role in payments, they say. Hello? Under which rock have you been hiding? Yes, CBDCs and stablecoins are going to play a very important role. I think this is a statement like from JP Morgan a few years ago, where they said, no, crypto is bad and you don't use crypto and etc. And now JP Morgan has their own coin. So Visa now gradually says, well, all these governments are working on CBDCs and it might play a meaningful role. I think they're just talking out of their... Okay, now some positive news about miners. We all know when news about miners is on the television, it's mostly because they use too much energy and they're bad for environment, etc. Well, not this time. Last December there was a big storm in Texas, a winter storm, and the miners in Texas switched off a lot of their mining equipment. They even used their generators to feed back into the electricity grid, and they provided 1,500 megawatts of energy to the network, because it partially was down and people needed a lot more energy for heating. So the miners came to the rescue, so to speak. And that's something which you don't read in the papers normally. Normally it's only about miners are the bad guys who use too much energy. Another factor which happened a few days ago, we all know Cardano. It's a large chain, a third generation blockchain. We're all talking about smart contracts and unstoppable computers, because all these miners over the whole world are connected and you can never switch off the whole network. Well, Cardano got a scare 4 days ago. For one or the other reason, more than nearly 60% of all their miners switched off, restarted, rebooted, right? So there is a little bug, a little bug in the mining software of Cardano. And here you can see that they raised the issue on GitHub to find the error in the software, because everybody was stunned that this happened. And we normally don't think about that risk either. The network of miners is so vast and so decentralized. What could happen? Well, this could happen, right? When there is an error in the mining software that really is so severe that it reboots the computers, then the whole network could go down. A whole new dimension, I think, on looking at risk for miners. Scams, or in this case, scammers who got caught. This is a news article by Europol where they seized nearly $20 million of money that was that went through the Bitlato exchange, and some call it an exchange, Some call it a money laundering machine. That's what Europol does. They were caught, and this is a machine that is used for money laundering, and most of the money goes to Russia. So Europol decided to arrest all the people involved. Some were on a nice island and some were in France. They shut down the computers where the service was running and retrieved some of the money. And they just want to send a message: wherever you are on this planet, if you're doing things that we don't like, then we will come and get you. And they are succeeding, I think, in that message. Where it'll be a little bit more difficult to succeed in apprehending the perpetrators is this: the large North Korean hacker group Lazarus is identified for taking out a little more over than $100 million last year, where the Harmony Bridge hack occurred. So we all know about hackers who are trying to crack exchanges. We all know about the fact that the protocol itself is not really compromised. Well, this was a bridge, and the bridge is providing a way to step from one coin into another, to another chain, wrap the coins, etc. And well, Lazarus Group had a way of frauding, of manipulating that bridge and taking away $100 million. So that was quite a bit, and North Korea is doing that for a long time, trying to take the money back to North Korea. Now, when you take it out of a bridge, you don't have the money in your hands. You still have to go through an exchange, and the money is traceable, and that's what happened. All right, so there are lots and lots of private individuals, but also companies who are looking at that money. They are trying to track where that money goes, and there are many ways that Lazarus tries to make this money anonymous. Right? We all know about tumblers. Tumblers like a tornado cash. You put in all kinds of coins and you let it tumble, and other people take money out, and you don't know which money belonged to which, and so you're trying to anonymize it. Now, Lazarus did that also, but they also used Railgun, and Railgun is a set of smart contracts where you use zero-knowledge proofs to anonymize where the money is coming from and where the money is going to. So they tried that, but this company, this platform, Mistrack, they identified 350 addresses where a big part of that money from the Harmony Bridge hack went, and they, of course, alarmed all the exchanges that whoever wants to cash out from these 350 addresses should be stopped and the money should be seized. So this time, not only news about money that got lost, it's also about money that got found. And that concludes our what's going on in the blockchain space. Let's go to our next segment, where Pieter Bonnema will talk about the energy knip. And let me switch over to there. And the next segment, we will be talking about the Parkstad energy knip. And we have a special guest. Pieter Bonnema will be talking about the Parkstad project this evening. Let me get him on screen. Hello, Pieter.
Hello, good day. My name is Pieter.
Okay, Pieter, you are a special guest. Pieter Bonnema Consulting is the name of your company. You are going to explain everything on our IOTA-based Parkstad energy knip. I will not introduce you. You can do that better than I. So I will just put your presentation and you on the screen. And afterwards, we will have a short interview.
All right.
The floor is yours.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Adrie. Thanks for having me, and thanks for this opportunity to tell more about the lovely project. As said, my name is Peter Bonnema. I work for the municipality of Heerlen, but I also have my own consulting company where I help other municipalities to implement digital, innovative projects. A bit more about myself. I started a couple of years ago with the engineering company Arcades, and then I got to the municipality of Heerlen, and eventually I started, like I said, for myself. I was born in the very north of the Netherlands. I did some college and some studying, and eventually I met my wife deep down in the south of the Netherlands, and there I'm living right now, and that's actually a good place to be. That as a short introduction of myself. Then this evening, if you're watching live or if you're watching this in another moment, then maybe not this evening, but we're going to talk about the Parkstad Energy Knip. We're going to talk about why it's necessary to have this project, what the actual problem was, the ID, the use of IOTA, the approach, how we did it, how we implement it, and of course, some results. But first, Parkstad. It's called the Parkstad Energy Knip. Why Parkstad? What is Parkstad? Where is Parkstad? So here you have a picture of the Netherlands, and in purple in the middle section, it's the province of Limburg, and down in the south, there is a section, it's called Parkstad. And Parkstad is a region. Some 255,000 people are living in this region, and it's a collection of 7 municipalities, and they are co-working with each other. Then the history of Parkstad. It's actually a quite really rich history, because back in the, let's say, 90 years ago, the city of Heerlen. The city of Heerlen was the second richest town in the Netherlands. Only Rotterdam, the port of Rotterdam, they were making more money. But here in the south of the Netherlands, we had a very booming mine industry. So a lot of progress, a lot of welfare, a lot of prosperity. But eventually, in the 70s, there was natural gas, and natural gas was cheaper. So in this region, there was a closing of the mining, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and there was a kind of a feeling of neglect. So what happened? A lot of people went on welfare, have a minimum income, and it was quite hard for those people to keep their head above the water and make a living out of it here in the south of the Netherlands. So the problem, fast forward to, let's say, this year or the 2022, there were some things happening. Of course, one of the causes is the Russian war towards Ukraine, and the balance of history got disturbed. And that had a huge consequence for gas prices, because in Europe a lot of gas is imported from Russia, but we want to support, as Europeans, we want to support Ukraine. So we thought it was a good idea to stop taking gas from from Russia. What was happening was that the gas price was actually exploding, and that had a consequence, because in the south of the Netherlands, like I said, a lot of people are on welfare or have minimum income, and if the prices are, let's say, quadrupled, they are getting real financial troubles. For instance, make a quick calculation. An average two-family household has regularly up to 1,200, 1,400 euros they pay on their energy bill. But now it almost tripled, or sometimes even quadrupled. And I don't talk about the even bigger families with a 4 or maybe 5 persons. Then they will pay a lot of more energy. So what happened? This this winter, everyone has turned down the central heating and trying to find new ways of getting warm. So the idea is we need, as a municipality, as a region, we need to help these people. And for the people, especially the people who are on welfare. What we did is we want to create purpose-bound digital money to help the municipality to distribute the resources quite efficiently, but also to help the citizens to spend these resources, which they are actually a grant from the municipality or from the Netherlands, to spend them only on the right resources. And then the third step here is that they can spend it on local entrepreneurs. So they usually get grants, and they are giving it just in euros. Those euros are going to, let's say, not the purposes that they are. How do you say? Not the purposes what you want to spend them on, but for instance, let's say sometimes alcohol, tobacco, or maybe they are buying lottery tickets. But that's not a sustainable way to make a better living. You have to use this money, and you can only use this money to spend these resources on your house. So the approach was, we need to find people who are really entitled. Who is this target group? So we make a list. Everyone who is on welfare, the municipality knows, and there is a grant for, let's say, if you are 100% or 130% up to this level of minimum income, then you are also entitled to get this grant. So we make a complete list of every household in this region. All these people are getting a letter, and in the letter they were introduced by this project. But one of the most important things in this letter was the QR code, which you can see also here. Don't scan this QR code. Yeah, you can scan it. You can come out to the website. But the real QR codes in these letters have a value of 250 euros. And I tell you how that is going to be spent in the process. When you scan the QR code, you're going to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, and you will find an application which you can download. This application is called the Parkstad Energieknip. So you make a small account, you can log in, and then the app is making 2 questions. And why you need to answer this question has to do with the grant. We, as the municipality, we need to know if the people are living in a privately owned house or in a rental house. It's important to know when we are going to give the results back from the people who are getting the grant. And if you answer these questions, then you are ready and set to go. You're able to call for a coach who can help you with your energy problems. But more important, you have a budget from 250 euros, which you can spend on energy saving products. For instance, here at the local shop, there is actually a setup where you can collect for 250 euros all kinds of stuff which are really helping to reduce your energy bill, and you can spend your money by using the application, send the QR code, create a QR code, scan the QR code, and in that way transfer your coins to the wallet of the shop owner. That's what I got already. All right. Then the shop owner give the goods to their clients and receive the tokens. What happened? The shop owners are getting a special QR code which transforms the application into a cash register. So they are able to only receive the coins. And in the end, there is a Pay Me Now button. They can push on, and then they will send all their coins to the municipality and receive the real euros in, let's say, they spent, let's say, for example, 10,000 coins. They received 10,000 coins. They sent 10,000 coins to the wallet of the municipality and get 10,000 euros in return on their IBAN. So, some of the results. This is actually quite interesting. We spent over 18,000 people, of households, I should say households, these letters. And from, I think this is actually the 1st of January, we are having about 55 up to 60% people who are activate their application. How do we measure this activation? These are the people who have answered the questions. And if you answer the questions, then you are able to spend your purpose-bound money. So we are in the back end, we can register and count how many households we are reaching. Also quite interesting is the total amount of money which is spent by the several retailers. You can see here that nearly 1.5 million euros in this region only is spent on energy saving or energy products, or at least reducing the energy bill. And this is why it's so important to use purpose-bound money, because in other grants or subsidies, this kind of results never happened before. Now they can only spend it on these products. And of course, the region Parkstad is built out of 7 different municipalities. But in this structure, we are able to break down which kind of municipality spent which kind of money, because all the municipalities, they have to make a registration of what they actually spent. And there is a difference between the size of municipalities. In this example, Heerlen has nearly spent, let's say, 700,000 euros. And the total sum of Brunsum, this the municipality next to Heerlen, it's a bit smaller. They spent 155,000 euros. So we can divide it or break it down by municipality. So this gives a real good example and real good, let's say, management information, how we are using the money. So some of the results and things we heard back was there was a real high settlement of the payments. At the moment when retailers push the button, they want to, let's say, cash out, they have in their wallets 50,000 euros, 10,000 euros. They want to cash out within 2 or 3 days, they have their actual money in the bank. The second thing is that users are really happy with the simplicity of this application. They received the QR code, they scanned the QR code, they immediately got 250 euros, which they can spend at local shops, and we're really satisfied with with this gesture. And of course, entrepreneurs are really willing to collect the money, because in this area we are talking about now, let's say 20,000 people, or no, households, 20,000 households, times 250 euros make approximately 5 million euros, which they can only spend at their local shops. So for them, it's really interesting to be part of this project. Then the part of the municipality, well, I can tell you, in the history of municipality, we were sometimes working with analog vouchers, but we have to collect the vouchers, check the vouchers. Was there any risk of fraud? There was lots of administrative work, and with this digital application, it is really easy to help the people. If someone is, let's say, losing or didn't receive his QR code, then it's easy to call the municipality. They will check if the people is entitled to receive a QR code, and then the municipality is able to send the personal QR code again to that person. So they are not getting new vouchers of a new 250 euros. No, that's not possible. They are getting the exact same QR code which they received the first time. So the possibilities for fraud are really minimum. So scale up. One of the most interesting things is that now we started this project from the perspective of the municipalities and the government. But there is actually a housing corporation called Weller, and it's located in Heerlen. And he said, well, that's quite interesting, but I have also a lot of people who are renting our houses, but they have a bit more income, so they are not entitled to receive the QR codes. So Weller said, we want to give these QR codes and give the Parkstad Energieknip to all of our renters of our houses. So a new group of approximately 800 households were also put into this in this project. And for me, a big shout out to this housing cooperation, because they really stand up for their users and or for their people who are hiring their homes. So that's actually the story for now for the Parkstad Energieknip. If you're watching this live, then sure, ask some questions directly to Adri. I'm 100% sure he's able to answer those questions. And if you are watching this on a later moment, please, if you have any questions, scan this QR code and it will connect to my LinkedIn page, and I am happy to help you with these answers of these questions. So, thank you. Adri, I guess back to you.
Yes. Thank you, Peter. I've got a question. We have some experience with Energieknip in Emmen, so I'm gonna have a question for you. What we experienced, these people you're talking about that are on welfare, they are a very hard to reach group of people. Right. So, what did you do and to reach that group?
Yeah. Well, it's actually it's definitely true what you're saying, because a lot of people on welfare, when they receive a letter from the municipality or what kind of governmental organization whatsoever, it's it's a kind of common that they don't read these letters. So one out of the, let's say, 20% or 25% of the letters we are pushing towards these people is actually going to be read, and 75% just ends up in the trash can,
Wow.
unread. But what happened here is we, like I said in the presentation, we are reaching 55, sometimes up to 60% of activations. It means that there is a how do you say that? There's a talk in the town. People received these letters, start using it, and they find out that it was 250 euros, which was in the QR codes, and it was actually money which they can spend. So a lot of people first didn't read or just throw these envelopes from the municipality away, but after a week or two, they start calling and they said, "Hey, I didn't receive," or they were honest and they said, I throw the letter away. Can I receive a new one?" And in that case, we said, "No, you cannot receive a new one. You can actually receive the first original one, because we made a copy. The QR code is exactly the same, and it's personal for you only." And we were happy to help and happy to send you your personal QR code. So at the start of the project, we are also working with an activation of, I don't know, 20%, 15%, 20%. But the further we gain some time. So we are now in the third month. We started in halfway of October. And now we are reaching up to, like I said, 55, 60% of activations. And that's actually, it's a very good result.
And still rising, because
And
when these
still
people
rising.
call you, they will get their QR code and activate
Yeah.
and work with it. And that's a question we got also a lot, is how do you work with seniors? There are always people in their 80s, 90s that are in financial trouble, but they don't read the letter and they don't know how to work with it. Do you have some help for these people?
Yeah, definitely. Also, inside this letter is a small. There are a couple of words which describing if you are not really good with applications or digital things, or if you don't even have a smartphone. Please go to your neighbor or go to your son-in-law, daughter, or other relatives, because they are able to help. For instance, your neighbor. They are able to scan your QR code. Then they have the budget of your letter and your QR code. They can spend, of course, with your approval, the money to the things you really need. And if they are done, they can go back to their homes. And if they are also, let's say, on welfare, they can go back to their own letter with their own QR code, take again their phone and scan their original, their personal, and their first QR code, and then they are back activated in their own situation. And that way, it's not. That's one of the well, let's say, benefits of using this blockchain technology. It's not stored on your personal phone, but it's stored on the blockchain, and you are able to use the phone, use the scanner, and use the QR code to temporarily access this QR code. And that way, hopefully a lot of people, elderly or people who are not able to use smartphones or don't want to use QR codes, are still able to use this. And as the last part of it, if you don't trust your neighbor or don't have any relatives or whatsoever, they can still come to one of the 7 retailers who are also selling energy reducing projects. Then you can go with your letter and with your QR code, go to the store, and they are able to help you. So in that way, we tried as much as we can to help everyone in different kind of ages in this project.
And of course, you have these woonwijzerwinkel, who is
Correct.
also able to assist in
Yeah,
your project.
that's correct. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll see if there are any questions. People can put the questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer them, but you are also in the chat, so we'll see what people come up with. This is a very big and extraordinary project, right? It's the first time that it's this big amount, and it's the first time that a corporate, a business, not a municipality, not a governmental body, invests in this. That's a real milestone, and it's very special. It opens the doors to other rental house corporations to work with their clients and to provide them with measures of energy saving. So let's see what kind of questions there are. Thank you very much, Peter.
All right. Thanks, Adrie.
There was a little hiccup. Questions. I saw in the chat a question by Christian. Can you explain what's the advantage of using a distributed ledger technology like IOTA instead of using centralized databases? Well, Christian, it's very simple. A centralized, a conventional database has a single point of failure. Right, so all queries are done on that database. If there's something wrong, you're really up the creek. But of course, you can have duplication, you can have lots of backups, but it's never as good decentralized as when you have a number of IOTA nodes, which are duplicating by themselves. The other thing is that IOTA has the mechanism of preventing double spending, and people try this. Yeah, you can trust me. We had that same experience here with Energy Knip in Emmen. People scanned the same QR code and on activation tried on a number of phones at the same time, at the same second to press the button to activate, hoping that they would get more money, a number of times the same money. When you are using a normal database, you have to do a lot of programming and a lot of tricks to prevent racing problems, etc. And IOTA has that built in. So we didn't have to do anything. The nodes can see that somebody is trying to claim twice, and it's automatically prevented by the IOTA network. So there are many advantages of using distributed ledger technology when you compare it to databases. Another one is the transparency and the immutability, which provide trust. I mean, we're talking about 5 million euros, which has to be spent on these people, and these people have to be spend it at the hardware stores on the products with which they can save energy with. So the governmental body who is distributing this wants to have insight if everything went all right. So yes, there are many advantages, and of course the advantage of IOTA, especially IOTA. Your question was about distributed ledger technology. That's in general. I mean, Bitcoin also prevents double spending. There is a little tiny thing about Bitcoin, which is that every transaction on the Bitcoin network uses 22.5 days of average electricity of a household. When you're doing an energy saving project like Energy Knip, that's you can't sell that to the people, right? You should all use LED lighting to save energy, and then you would burn all the energy on proof of work for Bitcoins. Now, IOTA has one of the lowest energy usages in the industry, right? You are using your own phone, and maybe 10 seconds of electricity of your battery is used to do your own proof of work in a small way on your phone. Now that is even less than a bank transaction when you look at the energy. So that is a very big plus. And the fact that in the IOTA network, there's no transaction fees, no mining fees, because you mine on your own phone. So the feeless character is also a big plus. When you're distributing subsidies, governmental taxpayers' money, then you want as large as part as possible to flow to the residents, the people who really need it, instead of putting it into mining fees or transaction fees. So I hope that answers your question. Let me see if there are any other... No, it's a great application for the Tangle. Thank you, Diogo. I see. Oh, here we have another question. What are your thoughts about Coordinator being the single point of failure? Will you still work on IOTA if Coordicide takes another 5 years? Yes. Now, Coordicide is, of course, something we are looking forward to. But for us, for the user, it's just a formality. Of course, I know. To have it fully decentralized is preferable. But to the people who are using the system, even the fact that they're using blockchain is irrelevant to them. They want an app with which they can pay as fast as possible, highest transaction speed, so they don't have to wait 5 minutes for the transaction to be approved. So all these 20,000 families don't care. We, of course, the programmers, care. We took special precautions that the coordinator stays in the air and keeps running, etc. But that's a small technical detail, if you will, and for the functionality, it's not relevant. So would we still be working on IOTA if Coordicide takes another 5 years? Probably yes, because of the other advantages that IOTA has over all the other decentralized, without a coordinator blockchains. So yeah, that is maybe I'm too big of a fan of IOTA, but it has a lot of advantages for us. Let me see. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to switch over to our next segment. Jeroen Wester is going to talk about artificial intelligence and smart contracts and lots of pros and cons. So let's switch over.
My name is Jeroen Wester, and today's talk will be on AI and smart contracts. And the question is there, well, using AI to write smart contracts, is that an opportunity or is it a risk? Okay, let's show you what I will talk about. We will talk about, of course, automatic generation of smart contracts and show you an example with one of the large language models that we used. And we're going to talk about how does this work? How does AI-based text generation work? And then, of course, is an opportunity or risk, and some concluding remarks. Okay, let's start with automatic generation of smart contracts. Well, the central use case in this talk is a developer or a wannabe developer, maybe a junior, that uses AI to write smart contracts for a blockchain application. And why does this developer want to use AI to write these smart contracts? Well, perhaps because you can have a pretty nice salary when you are a smart contract developer and you are a bit lazy, or perhaps you are a junior developer and you want to try something out. But you have come across this automatic generation texts, automatic text generation, and you think, okay, I can use this for my work, and maybe I'm now finished within 5 minutes instead of 8 hours. Okay, what are smart contracts? Probably a no-brainer for most of you, but a contract between parties written in code that is automatically executed in a blockchain network. And it has probably some conditions in it, and when these conditions are met, then the contract is executed. And the big thing, there is no third party needed in order to execute the contract, which is very cool. So you have this blockchain network full of nodes, they are connected, and they automatically execute that contract. The big thing is that it is very hard to manipulate these smart contracts. So once they are there, there's some kind of honesty or truth, because this contract will be executed when the conditions are met. All right, this is smart contracts. Now let's go into the idea of automatic generation of texts. You probably came across this big new thing. Since end November last year, ChatGPT was released by OpenAI, and it caused a storm in the media and in tech land, of course, also. And you see a screenshot of a ChatGPT. That's not a very impressive user interface, of course. The core part of that user interface is at the bottom, where there is an input line, and you can write text there, and you can give it a question, and then you press enter, and then it talks to you. At least it generates text. And why are people so impressed? Because the result of the texts, the quality of the text that comes as an answer to your question or comes as an answer to your assignment or prompt is very high. So there is this idea that this is not, we will see a lot of ChatGPT based applications in many domains because of its very high quality. Well, what did I do? I went to the website of OpenAI, and I asked it, well, write me a smart contract for an NFT sale. And here's the result. It's marvelous. It's beautiful. It begins with, well, I'm using Solidity 0.8.0. That's almost the last version of Solidity. Wow, it's cool. It could have been 0.8.19, but okay, it's there almost. It creates addresses, events, functions with some checks. And I have my work done within 10 seconds. Write me a smart contract for an NFT sale. Well, the proof is, of course, then when it's written, you want to compile it to see if it's a proper contract. So I used Remix and I compiled the contract. It worked. The contract compiled. The code is good. There were a few warnings, but when you have a little bit of a background there, you can probably solve these warnings, and it's there. I feel I was a little bit lucky because I did some checking, of course, with others that did the same kind of test that I have done right now, and others got errors, and they got smart contracts that they couldn't compile. They failed to compile because of issues like there was a specific version of Solidity 0.6, something like that. And there was a specific way of string concatenation, and that didn't work in that version of Solidity. So the devil is in the details there, of course, but my first try gave me a smart contract that I could compile. Wow. But that's not all. It also gives me some evaluating remarks about the generated code. Some explanation about the transfer function, which is a central part of the code generated by ChatGPT. Very cool. So it behaves like a pro. It's like, okay, I generated this, but when your contact switches, then you should also think about this. So it is as if you are talking to someone who is very knowledgeable on creating smart contracts. How does that work? What is going on here? Although I mentioned some mistakes, the results are pretty okay. Can AI be that good? Can it really do the job of high-paid, well-educated developers? And is a training or skills at a high level, is that no longer necessary? What is going on here? Well, welcome to the world of large language models. ChatGPT is such a model. Or ChatGPT is an application based on a large language model, in this case GPT-3. GPT-3 is created by a company called OpenAI. You might have heard of them, but it's not the only large language model that's around. Google has BERT, and there's also Transformer XL. There are a couple of these large language models. The idea that it's a text model. So, and it's a text model based on a massive training set. Enormous amounts of text are input for these models. And the idea is that you can use such a model for natural language processing tasks like translation or summarization, categorization or classification, but also text generation. And that's the example that I showed you in the previous slide. So all these big tech companies, they have their own large language model, and they all have a T in it. BERT, GPT-3, Transformer XL. And the T stands for Transformer. Because that's the reason why we couldn't do this before. There is this new architecture that solves a number of problems that we had before. Transformer architecture is something that was created in 2017, so it's not very long there. It's introduced by Google. What? Google? But OpenAI, is that not? No, that's not Google. So, okay, so these companies are all on the same level, in the same ball game. The Transformer architecture was introduced by Google and the University of Toronto, and it solved the problem that all the neural networks had, that it did not scale well enough to handle large data sets. So the older neural networks, they work pretty well with image recognition tasks. So you have this image with all kind of pixels, and then they could say, okay, this part probably resembles a face or something like that, or it's the face of that person. But these neural networks did not do good on natural language processing tasks like translation or summarization. And that has something to do with the order of words is important in sentences. When you translate words from one language to another language, then the word order in the target language can be very different than it was in the previous language. So you have a whole lot of context that you need to have about these texts in order to do your language task pretty well. So these transformers, they have a few innovations, like positional encoding, which means that you take a word order in your training sets as part of your data, and you use that in a very smart way, and that helps you to scale up your training task massively. So I got a sense, but I don't know if that's really true, that in the old days training of very large data sets would take an exponential amount of time, and now there's more a linear relation between the data set, the training set, and the amount of time that you need. That's an enormous achievement. And then there is this new concept that was introduced in 2017, self-attention, and they can use that. I think what I understand of it is you can use that to disambiguate words when you look at the context of the sentence that you're trying to use for training or for text generation. So the use of transformers, the T in all these large language models, means that we had two benefits from 2017. Training can be done on a massive data set, so it's scalable, and there's a better prediction of text. The result, the quality of what comes out, is very much higher. Wow, these are very cool achievements, of course. So that resulted in making these large language models, of course, from they probably needed to sort out a few things. They need to do the training. So now we're 5 years after 2017, 6 years, and now we have these large language models ready, and we have the first applications like ChatGPT that I showed you before, and that was used to generate a smart contract. There are, however, a few limitations. Let's have a look at them. Although you might think that the answer given by the application ChatGPT is very wise and knowledgeable, it actually lacks logical reasoning. So when you give it a very simple question like Mary's mother has 4 children, 3 of them are Bob, Sue and John. What is the name of the 4th child? Then ChatGPT says you, well, it's not specified in the information provided. And well, every 10-year-old with some thinking can say, okay, I think the name of the 4th child is Mary. But ChatGPT can't do that. That's strange. And even, okay, you could say, okay, you lack logical reasoning, but even the answer that it gives back to you, why it can't answer your question, is wrong. Because it said it's not specified in the information provided. Well, it's actually there. It is provided. So ChatGPT lacks logical reasoning. And the reason for that is that in essence, it's a statistical model. It knows about the co-occurrence of words. It knows that if the word smart contract is used and NFT, that then a certain number of words can be used in that context. And that is the answer that it gave back to me. Another limitation is the false appearance of knowledge. It seems to be intelligent, but is it that? So it gives you 5 reasons. And I asked it, okay, why is the economy of Great Britain doing so bad? Give me 5 reasons. And that's a kind of a trick question, of course. Because the first one is the economy of the UK really doing so bad? But it gives me 5 reasons. if it was really intelligent, it could have come back to me and said, well, there are no 5 reasons, there are 3. And I can't think of 5. But it gives me 5 because I ask it 5 reasons, and then it comes back. And it seems to know about economy, but it doesn't. This is a statistically, this is an answer based on statistics. It knows that in the context of economy in Great Britain and the word bad, then these 5 sentences could come to mind. You can see that when you use the same question again. You say, okay, why is the economy of Great Britain doing so bad? Give me 5 reasons. And now it comes, in my second run, it comes with 5 different reasons why the economy of the UK is doing so bad. Interesting. So what is true? Or does it has a notion of truth in it? It hasn't. There is no truth in this. So you could say that the limitation in the first one is there's a false appearance of knowledge. It seems to be knowledgeable, but it isn't. And you can also see that it is inconsistent and unpredictable. Okay, wow, cool. So at first I was very enthusiastic and happy, and now I'm a bit on the downside because there are limitations. Okay, let's go down to the question. Back to our initial question. Are we happy or sad when ChatGPT writes a smart contract? We've seen that there are some limitations. There's a lack of logical reasoning, a false appearance of knowledge, and inconsistency and unpredictable results. And that is, of course, something that's a kind of a warning. Yeah, please know that when you use these kind of tools, it might not give you the right answer. But on the other hand, it also has some benefits. You can get inspired by a large set of examples. And it gives you actually additional information on the context that you're in. So if the context is writing code, then it switches its answers, it adapts its answer to the context that you're in. And then there's a very nice interaction that you have. You can just have a question, enter that question, press return, and then you get a result. So that's very cool. Very cool. Okay. What will be my conclusion? Well, it's clear that these large language models, they don't know about logic of a smart contract. So when you are an unexperienced programmer, you will not see the errors. But the opportunity, and I think there's more an opportunity than there is a risk. The opportunity is that you can use the results that you get from a service like ChatGPT for cross-checking and cross-checking contracts created by humans. So, and the risk that you have that you make errors with contracts that are generated by ChatGPT is a kind of the same risk that you have when you use code examples that you find on Stack Overflow. And probably most developers, especially when they are working in a field that they are not, that they are new to, then they will start by using copies, inspiration by others. There is one other, well, that's not a concluding remark, but it puts the discussion in some kind of context. And you can see that there is, and maybe not in the ChatGPT side, but in the Stable Diffusion, AI-generated, AI image generation discussion, you see that there is a kind of discussion which is, there are two positions, and there's the A and the B position. And the A position is, we humans are creative, and we refuse to work or to accept work generated by machines which is regarded creative. So only human creativity is rewarded. And then there is the other position that machines are better humans, and that they will be able to do that creativity task better than humans can. And these two sides, they have a conflict. Well, I have a more practical position. I think there is these tools like ChatGPT or Stable Diffusion or whatever, they will be there forever, and machines and humans, they cooperate or coexist, and you use that. We have always done that. We do not ride horses anymore. It's time to move on and to see where the value is of these brilliant new tools. Okay, my last slide is that not knowing results in spending more time. I think that could be true. If you unknowingly accept ChatGPT code, then you will be done in a few seconds, but you will spend your time debugging the rest of the day, of course. We will see how this will turn out in a few years. Well, thank you. See you next time.
Okay, great to see how AI is changing our world, and I have to admit, I've seen in the last few weeks a lot of examples of ChatGPT, of Midjourney, of all kinds of other AI models, and it is stunning. And of course, you knows a lot more about it than I do, but I'm very impressed. And we will see how we have to work with that in the future. I have one last slide I want to show you. Let me see if I can get that on screen, which shows me that logic, and reasoning is more advanced than we could think, right? So there's this guy who asks, how much is 2 plus 5? And ChatGPT says, 2 plus 5 is equal to 7. Well, this guy says, my wife says it's 8. And so OpenAI answers, 2 plus 5 actually equals to 7, not 8. It could be possible that your wife made a mistake or misunderstood the problem. So this guy says what a lot of men say, my wife is always right. And then OpenAI has something very special to say, which shows to me either it has more intelligence than we think, or maybe men have less intelligence than OpenAI. It says, I apologize. I must have made an error. My training data only goes up to 2021, and I may not have got the most current information. If your wife says it's 8, then it must be 8. And that's the golden rule for a happy marriage, I believe. So OpenAI is doing a few things right. Maybe not all, but a few things it does. Okay, there's one last thing I have to do. I have to thank our speakers, Peter Bonnema and Jeroen Wester. I have to remind you of our next meetup being on the 23rd of February. And as a real YouTuber, yes, I have to ask you to subscribe and push like buttons, etc. Because it doesn't cost anything, and it will make the AI of the YouTube algorithm give us a boost, and it will make it more easy to find for other people. So please do. And I hope you had some value in this information, that you liked it in any way. We are trying to do this on a regular basis, so I hope to see you again the next time. Thank you.